Hello everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in. There is definitely a wintry, festive chill in the air starting to creep in over at the Sizzix headquarters. And today we're going to be making a card using the brand new Twig and Stump die. This is from the fantastic, brilliant, exciting new Tim Holtz Christmas Collection. So let's get making. So this is the perfect die set for me for creating a scene with. I absolutely love die sets where it's, you know, characters, a cute character especially, and these ones are incredibly cute. You can just see from the packaging there. I've got loads of little bits next to me. I'm not sure if these are in shot. Are these in shot, cameraman James? They are in shot, so you can see how many are there. And that's another great thing about a set like this. Now, I'm not gonna go on about it, but I just love a set that has loads and loads and loads of little bits. But this one is particularly clever, which I noticed as I started making with it, is the characters on the front, you can have them facing any way now, because Tim has cleverly provided us with two different versions of these dies, and these are facing opposite ways here. So it's the same die in one set, but they're opposite ways, so you can have it facing each way. I thought I'd mention that because I've not seen it before, and it's fantastic. So we're gonna go through some compositional makes here, and I'm using some of our Sizzix Stencil Film. I have a packet of the Sizzix Stencil Film here. Here's the back showing you how to use it. And it comes in a package like this. It's just brilliant stuff. Whether you're using it on a make, or whether you know, as part of the make, or if you're using it to do a bit of stenciling, it's just really great because you can see through it, you can see where you're going. Now, I am gonna do some inking, so let me get out my inks. Here we are, we're going to be using a few different Tim Holtz Ranger Distress inks and oxides here. We've got our weathered wood, vintage photo of course, and then we've got festive berries because it is a festive make. And I have my Tim Holtz tool caddy here with my trusty blending tool, and then we're going to need a die pick and a few other things. I'll keep these off to the side here. And we'll use those a little bit later. And my sponge there. So when we do some die cutting, we'll use those. Now, we're gonna start by creating a room. So when I came up with this make, I wanted to show how easy it was with stencil film to blend what looks like a 3D room composition. So I thought I'd show everyone at home. Now, I'm gonna start coming in from the corners here. Just coming diagonally across here. Now the placement of this, it's not incredibly important. You don't have to get it absolutely spot on, as long as you've created some diagonal lines and then one straight down the middle of it here. So you can see here, I've got 3 strips of stencil film, and I'm gonna create, it's almost like the letter A. Now you can see this, I guess it's some kind of quadrilateral trapezoid. I'm very, very clever, you can see, because I know like words like quadrilateral and trapezoid. I think it is one, and probably someone might correct me in the comments. So we're going to come in and we'll ink here. I'm using my weathered wood, and as always with inking, I know I say it all the time, but you just keep adding more. You don't go in for another big dunk of ink like this and then ruin your make by putting a big dark splodge on it. Get most of it off your blending tool and then come in ever so lightly and just keep adding more until you're happy. So there's one wall of the room. Now I'm leaving this area a little bit light, and you'll see why in just a bit. Now when I take this away, we can use these again, so actually I can keep them together like this. Now I'm going to switch this around, so you can see here we've got the ceiling coming away there, and I'm going to match this up using the same bit. So that's coming the other way. Do you know what? You could do that. It will create a room kind of off to the distance. I'm going to change it up just because I have a lot of experience in doing this. I want to play with the composition of my room, so I'm going to do it in this way. I want my walls this side to be coming off at a slightly different angle over here. It just changes the sort of perspective of the room, that's all it does. There we are. And then I'm going to ink this side. Now, you can always choose to change the colour of the other wall, because in a house, people don't paint every single wall the same colour. But I am going to go in with the same colour here, because in my house, most of the rooms, we don't have many feature walls in my house. I said that like you should all feel really sorry for me. Maybe we can put some violin noises over that little bit. We don't have many feature walls in my house. And there we go. So let's have a look at what it looks like. So hopefully now you can see what's happening here. So there's this wall coming down here, this wall going off there. I will come in with just a tiny bit on here, but I'm going to give a nice festive berries shade of carpet, and that's why I've chosen that other colour there. Because it's a lovely festive colour, and I'd love to be in any home that had a nice festive red carpet around the festive season. Shall I say festive one more time? Festive. There we are. So there's my ceiling, and I'm going to come in now with the red carpet. Now, I did apply just a very thin mist of repositionable adhesive spray to my stencil film. And the reason we don't have it come with adhesive spray, adhesive already on it so you can place it down, is because a lot of people like to use the stencil film, myself included, as sort of vellum-y, a feature on a card, and for that reason we don't want it sticky on the one side. So I shall find, I've got some spare ink pads, and I'm going to come in with this carpet colour now. So there we are. I'm saturating my blending tool. I'm getting lots of it off here, because with a new ink pad, it's difficult to kind of gauge whether you've got enough on there or not. And there we go. I'm going to come in with quite a nice festive shade of red. And there we are. Okay, so I've created my room composition here. And it's all just straight lines, as you can see there. We've got that corner, but it really does give you the impression of you're looking into a room here. And now I get to create my composition. Now, I've already die cut the Christmas tree element from this set. This is going to go about here, but before I place it down, I'm going to create the shadow of the tree next to it. So I will take another sheet. I'll just remove this from now because we're going to be using my machine. I'm going to take another sheet of our stencil film. I will take the tree element, which I can't actually see at the moment. Well, I'm going to have to go and find the missing part. Just bear with me. And I realised why I didn't bring the tree with me, which is because I saved the part of the aperture of the tree that I die cut earlier for this very process. So silly me, totally forgot that, but we are ready to create our shadow. So now I'm going to decide where I'm going to add on my tree. So once I've decided where the tree is going to go, which is further towards this side, I can place the shadow a little bit further along. So it's going to be just coming off my make here. So I'm going to bring it down a tiny bit, and then switching back to the weathered wood, or whichever sort of wool colour that you chose. Now we're going to apply a little bit more, and then I'm going to come in here, and it doesn't actually need to be stencil film for this piece because we're not going for that lovely sharp edge that you get with stencil film. We're actually going for more of a kind of misty edge there. So when I take this away, you'll see there is a shadow of our Christmas tree here. Now, before I build up Twig and Stump, which, by the way, I don't know which one is Twig and which one is Stump. I could guess, but I don't like to generalize. I don't like to assume that this is Twig and this is Stump, just because he's a little bit more stumpy. You know, they were both named when they were baby snowmen, so we didn't know what they were going to grow up like. So now I'm going to cut. I have some pre-cut colours. I went with some of our more kind of neutral or botanical colours because I want it to be an earthy make, to keep it in that nice vintage Tim Holtz style. Now, I'm going to bring on my die cutting machine, and we're going to cut some of the, now these could either be snowballs or they can be baubles for the tree. You can use it for either. I'm using them this time as baubles. Funny story actually, when me and Susie, my partner, had just started going out, sent her a message about she was making me a knitted bauble, but I called it a ball, and it wasn't until that day that she really took the mick out of me. I didn't know it wasn't called a ball. And James thought the same, so I'm vindicated, Susie. I'm vindicated, okay? So let's carry on. Now, so we're just cutting these in 3 different colours. I like to use those sort of like primary colours. I know that my kind of Christmas baubles on the Christmas tree, I keep them kind of that primary colour. Do you know what? I don't know why I'm doing this, trying to get them out like that, because actually earlier I brought out my die pick, and that's going to be a much tidier job. So I can just get that out of there. But that's a perfect illustration of why you need a die pick. And finally, just this nice earthy red colour. Now we don't need this many baubles, but I like to have options because one great thing about this set is that they all come in different sizes, so you can really play about with the composition on there. And there we are. So I can put my machine away for the time being and bring that back out a little bit later. Now, let's clear up my desk a little bit. Now that I have a nice mixture of different colours of bauble, I can start to pick. Now this is where the media mat comes into its own here, because I can actually place these on my mat, and then I know that they're not going to go all over the place because the silicone of the mat keeps everything where it needs to be. So let's start having a play and building up this Christmas tree. Start with a nice blue one, and you will see that I've prepared these by sticking some adhesive to the back of them. There we go. So it's a partially decorated tree. Now I can place this, I'm going to place this where my shadow is going to be cast. So the light's coming from this way, My tree is going to be here and the shadow is cast on the wall behind it. So let's take some of my foam tape. There we are. I love the fact that this is terrible foam tape. Quick and easy. And then we can place that down here. Just poking some of that foam tape there. There we are. Now we've got the dimension of the tree, but we've got that lovely shadow behind it. Let's just have a look at that. So already we've got that lovely red festive berry carpet, and then the composition of the room here with shadows on the wall. And this has all just been created with die cut shapes and stencil film and a bit of inking. So now I get to finish this make off by adding my snowmen. So I have pre-built the snowmen, so I'm not going to make them from start to finish, but I did want to just illustrate the point of how easy these are to build. So I'll bring back on my die cutting machine and just do the very first part to talk it through. Now, so I have some black cardstock and then I have some ivory cardstock. So these are both part of our new kind of black, ivory and white cardstock packs. The ivory, I have put some adhesive sheet on because, do you know, adhesive sheets, they just make it so that you're not going to get the mess that you sometimes get with glue on intricate parts. Now I'm going to put twig. Do you know what? I'm just going to go ahead for me and say that this is Stump in this version. I know it's controversial, but, and there we are, here's Twig. I'm going to put him down here. Now, as I mentioned before, we've got the ones that are facing different ways. Now, when you put the die down to cut, that's the way that it's going to be facing. So I'm going to put Twig down here. I'll just die pick those little remaining bits out of his eye holes. And then I need to make sure that I've got the one of these that is facing the same way, because I want them to both face the same way just for this make, and you'll see why in just a sec. Such a nice, cute composition, this. So let's cut these. Now with this style of die, it's layered up, so the bottom layer, do you know what? Let's try that one more time, because I've actually cut the wrong layer here. I actually wanted to cut just the silhouettes. So let's reverse just a little bit. We all make mistakes. And luckily I've still got enough room for both Twig and Stump on my die cutting machine. There we go. Then we're going to cut these two. So let me die pick these out again. At least now I know that I have die cut the right one. And actually, it isn't just the two different directions that you get. You also get one that's straight in the middle, like this here. Because this one, if you wanted to point the nose upwards, he's going to be facing the sort of camera, as it were. Now I can cut these, and luckily I've saved myself a bit of time, so that makes up for cutting the wrong bit by applying the adhesive sheet to the back of there. We're going to come in, die cut these, so they're facing the same way. Put my machine to one side. Now, and that's all I wanted to show you really with these. So I can apply this to here. Now these are both symmetrical shapes, so you can apply any of those three different choices to any of these. And the fact that I've applied my adhesive sheet means that I can apply this straight down and just make double sure that we don't have any little bits floating around in there, because otherwise the adhesive sheet will stick them down to the card. And there we are. So I can place that down. And then once we built it up, they're going to look like, drum roll, this. So these little guys here, you'll notice that I have only put one arm on them. They're both facing the same way. And have a look at this. This is why I've done this. Now, I'm just gonna very, very quickly die cut my Christmas star from the tree here, because the composition I've created here is gonna be that stump, my stump, is lifting Twig up to put the star on the tree. How cute is that? And here is our tiny little star there, ready to go on the top of the tree. I love the fact that this star is, it's cut, it's not a symmetrical, perfect star shape. I like the fact that each kind of point coming off it is a bit quirky, and that to me is just fantastic in a die, and Tim always kind of hits the mark there for me. Okay, so my star's going down there just for now. Now I need to compose these two. So they are both in the shot. I want to kind of see a bit of the room. Now, Stump is lifting Twig up to put that star on the tree. And, you know, it doesn't matter if they overlap a little bit, you know, over the sides of the card, because that to me is nice. I like it. I like when a little bit comes over the side and then you place it on your card base, and it kind of livens up the composition. So I'm going to put Twig down first, and he is being lifted up so that he can reach the top of the tree to get the star on. Then I'm going to get Stump, and I'm going to come in, and he's lifting him up just to help him get there. Now my star is going to be put here. So little Twiggy is putting the star on the tree. And then finally, or not, well, nearly finally, because we still have the sentiment to add, we're going to add this little hat element. And I like that it's almost kind of coming off his head a little bit. So I know that my Stump's got the scarf, Twig's got the hat. I just think that's so cool. And then that is basically it. All we need to do now is stick it on a card base and add my sentiment. So let me just very quickly add this sentiment on. Actually, do you know what? I had pre-taken those off, but I still went to take it off with the tweezers. I love this sentiment. I'm going to put it a bit wonky. I'm not going to sing it, no matter how tempted I am to sing it. But just look at that. What a lovely Christmas card. So there we have it. Again, these are just the most playful, versatile, festive dies. Any character die, that's my favourite sort of die, especially when it comes to a Tim Holtz character die like this. It's just so stylized and fantastic. All I've done is added a few inking techniques just to finish it off, add a bit of shadow here and there, and that is it. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give us a like, maybe think about subscribing. Have a look online at some of our other videos, because we have some really creative content to kind of sink your teeth into on Facebook, on Instagram, and on our Sizzix website. And also make sure if you have any questions, put them in the comments, because we will read the comments and we try to get back to everyone who asks a question. But yeah, I really hope that you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.